Hey guys, in today's video we're going to test or we are going to write the test case on how to write test cases for exceptions. So what I meant to say here is, let's say we have a method and we are throwing an exception when we are passing null values and we are expecting those exceptions, and we want to make sure that when we are actually passing the null values or empty string, we should get the exception back. But how do we write the test case for that? So let's get started. Here we have the calculator class, which has an add method, and we have written a test case for that. If you have not watched that video, please go back and watch that video. So we are going to enhance this method to to make it robust, so that whenever somebody pass the null values, it should throw an exception. Right now we are not doing that, so let's go ahead and start backwards with the test driven development. So what we will do is, for now I will just go ahead and copy this method, and now what I will do is, as I have explained in my previous video, when we are going to write the test case, there should be three parts which should in your test method name. The first one is the name of the method, the second one is the scenario, and the third one is the expected result. So what we are passing here is, we are going to pass now invalid values, and what we are going to get a get null exception back, right? This is what we are expecting. So for now, let's go ahead, and now if I just want to pass null, probably I won't be able to do that. Yeah, because integers are not nullable. So in this case, actually we can't do that, but let's do a quick fix. So let's go ahead and let's make, this is again a code change, see how unit test is helping us. So I'll make both of this as nullables, and again here there are some problems, so I'll say value dot value, and we have made so many changes. Now let's go back and first test our original method, so that we see, yeah, it still passes. See, we have made these changes, and only thing we have to do is we have to go back to the test case and just right click and say run. Now that we know everything is working fine, now let's come back to the new thing. Now what we're doing here is, we are passing invalid values, get null exception back now, and we are passing null, and the result should be, the result should not be anything, it should be yeah, but let's see how we are going to test. Now we have the new test case, so right click, run selected. Let's see what we are getting back in the results, and it's running, and we got something back. So what it's saying is, throw helper, throw invalid operation exception, result null11 dot get one value, calculator dot add. So here it's saying it threw an exception. The elapsed time is just this much, so we know this. So how we are going to we know that's going to throw an exception, right? But we don't want our unit test to fail. Maybe like when we are doing manually, we know it works, but let's say if you have a build integration server which actually builds and places the DLL or exe or your DLL or anything, your binaries to a location based on if all the test cases pass, then in that case what you're going to do, it should not pass. So how do we actually test a method when we are expecting exception? That's what the whole point is. So let's, without further delay, let's do that. So let me use Visual Studio, our null check. That's fantastic. Our null check. So now we know that a equal to null, then it is going to throw a argument null exception. B equal to null, then it's going to throw a argument null exception. So what I did is, if you didn't, so I just highlighted the parameter. I said control period, and yeah, let me do that again. Control dot, so it says add null check. That's a very good thing. And for the parameter b, control period, add null check. So we have the null check in place. Now let's build our project and let's run selected. Let's see if it passes. No, it didn't, because let's go back to your test. We are still saying, hey, we are asserting the result should be null, but it's not a null result, it's throwing an exception. So what we are going to do is, let's comment this assert statement. So what we are going to do is, here when we are actually expecting a exception, what we can say here is expected exception, right? And what kind of exception we are expecting here? We are expecting that it should be an argument null exception, right? Sorry, I have to say probably type of, that's what it is taking as a parameter. Let's see that. Let's go one by one. So type exception type, so it's a type, right? It's expecting a type, so you will say type of, yep, and let's pass this argument null exception. Right now, if I build this and I say, hey, let's run selected test, and voila, it passed, right? Because what we are doing is, if we go back to the method and we say, hey, this is argument null exception, and we are throwing argument null exception here, also we are throwing a argument null exceptions, and we are saying here, hey, when I'm passing null and null, I'm expecting an exception of type of argument null exception. Let's see if I pass anything else, divide by 0 exceptions, and run this test case, then what, it's failing, right? Because we are not expecting a divide by 0 exception. What we are saying is, when I'm passing null null, I should get a null argument exception, right? So it makes sense. Alright, we have actually made so many changes, not so many changes, but we have made quite a few changes to our application. Now we have just tested the expected exception. What about the previous one, that is add method, that if we pass the valid numbers or integers, it should give us the value back. What about that? Is it still working? So just run through it, run all, and let's see what is happening. Hey, we just got both the test cases passed in 19 seconds. That is what is happening. You see, we don't have to launch any UI, not the console application, not a WP application, and not a actual web application, web ASP.NET MVC web application. We didn't have to go through and pass first time empty strings in both the text boxes, then in the second time two valid integers. We didn't do all these things. We just came here and just and 19 milliseconds, that's what it took us to run both the test cases. How much time it is going to save you for a single time, if how much time you would have actually taken if you just launch the UI and run through both these test cases, how much time you might have spent. And it's really productive when you're actually making the change and just run the test case and it works. It gives you satisfaction, you know it is working. You don't have to actually spend the time in UI just need to call these methods and just update the UI with the written values. It just works. So guys, spend some time in unit testing. It's not very difficult. It makes you a better programmer, better coder, and it makes quality of your coding really good. And and it's you, when you start writing your unit test case, you actually tend to write good code, and you will much more likely to you are going to adhere to the best coding practices like solid principles and everything. That's for another day. Thanks for spending taking the time to watch my videos. If you liked, click on the like button, and if you liked, actually also click subscribe. I'm not sure there is a bell icon actually with the new channels. I'm not sure whether my channel does have. I'm not able to spend that much time, but if it is there, please click. And once again, have a good day or good night. Thanks for coming to 3sharp.net.